We have to care about the agents.
Intention, consistency, authenticity.
Boom. That's it. Alex Probert, Bailey Cooley. Nice. All right. We're ready to roll. So welcome back. I'm here with two very special guests. And this is very interesting because these are young pups, rookies, fresh out of our training program. Just to my left is Alex Probert, and to his left is Bailey Cooley. Welcome, guys. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having us on.
So let's kind of get in really quick. Just, let everybody know who you are, where you're from, kind of like how you got here. So let's just start with you, Alex.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Minnesota, moved down here to Florida, been working real estate full-time ever since.
Rock and roll. All right.
Born and raised in Jacksonville as well. I've been all over
Awesome.
Jax. Played softball my whole life, went to JUCO for softball, and then came home and then got my realtor's license.
Love that. Where junior college?
Eastern Florida in Melbourne. Yeah.
No, well, so when I played, I was at Miami-Dade. When I played at Miami-Dade, that was Brevard. Was it Brevard? Or
Brevard County,
Brevard,
yeah.
yeah, Brevard County Community College. It wasn't Eastern Florida.
Wow.
And then I think my sophomore year, they were changing it to Eastern Florida. But I was just like, Eastern
It's
Florida?
changed a lot. Everything. They've put so much money into this, like the baseball, softball
Yeah, I
stadium,
would say
soccer's, the new scoreboard, thousands and thousands of dollars. So
Wow.
it's definitely changing, but
Yeah,
it's good.
when I was in high school, junior college was like not a thing, like by us. Like, so Matt and I grew up in the same town. He'll tell you the same thing. Junior college was like where kids who went to Division I schools, like didn't do the schoolwork, but still wanted to play, they would come. So I didn't even understand that. So when I went away to the University of Tampa to play ball, and our JV team only played junior colleges, I'm like, dude, these kids are huge and like gross at baseball. And they're like, yeah, like that's where you go to basically like you just want to play a year of ball and either go pro or go to like a huge D1 school. So I was like, I'm going to do that. So I went to Miami-Dade, tore my ACL, and then I was like, I'm just going to go to Flagler.
Yeah, those injuries, you're like, do I keep going? Do I not? It's kind of a make or break.
Exactly, brutal. But you're a former athlete as well.
Yeah, I played college football for 5 years. With COVID, I had an extra year of eligibility and injuries as well.
Right.
So I was very fortunate to play that as long as I did, but same thing, retired with medical injury and pretty much went right into real estate at that point too.
Right. Now, were you both immediately attracted to real estate?
Oh, yeah. Since middle school, high school, I've always been very passionate about it. So I knew it's something I was wanting to do even in college.
Right.
So.
Right. Were you attracted to the style of it, or just like my income is infinite if I
the style income really wasn't a thing until I was like, oh my gosh, they make they can make this amount if they hustle this much. But no, just even when me and my sister were stuck in COVID or being home, we were like, let's go drive around, let's go look at these awesome houses, and then I'd be like, I wonder what the floor plan is, or kind of just like that. And
you just find yourself interested in those little like kind of like nuances of real estate that a lot of other people like. Of course, everyone is driven by money, but now you're kind of like driven by like, well, I just love homes. I love seeing other people's homes. I mean, we interviewed kind of a veteran agent down in St. Augustine. She was the same way. I was kind of just like fascinated, like looking at other people's homes, as weird as that sounds.
Looking in their windows.
Which is like not even like voyeuristic, like watching people live, just like kind of looking at how people set up their space and then like, oh, this is really cool. I never would have thought of this. And then you kind of just like, maybe I'll do this in my house and then like move on, whatever. It's like, hey, so I'm going to put somebody in this home.
Yep, that and then also meeting people throughout, like, and then creating relationships with people that, bought a home from you 3 years ago, I'm sorry. And then, 3 years later, they're like, hey, how's it going?
So that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't understand is the referral and follow up, which is why I wanted to speak to the both of you, is because you guys are right in on the ground floor of basically what most agents would call follow-up, but it's prospecting, right? It's really trying to make connections, calling these people who raise their hands. So before we get into that, let's kind of hear about training. So when you guys came, you both started the same exact day.
Yep.
How was like day one, whirlwind, headshots, Matt, the whole 9 yards? Give us like a little insight on that. Like what were you thinking when you saw all this?
You can go first.
So I had been in real estate before I joined the team. And so I was most interested in seeing the systems and the layout and how quickly we went through everything and seeing how everything is planned out, how efficient it was, and just right one thing to the next. And so a lot of information, but amazing information.
Right.
So seeing that, getting into it, learning it, training on it, was just day one was like, we're getting into it, like we're ready to go.
Right. You had like a roadway that you're like, okay, I'm here, I want to get there, I know exactly how to get there.
Yeah, and they were super helpful with saying like, after you do this, we'll be going into this process. You'll hear me say process a lot because I'm obsessed with it. Systems, process.
Good.
It was everything, just day one.
Right. How about you? What's your take?
Same thing. They jumped right into it. This is the place where it's like, we're getting straight to business. I don't care how long you've been in the industry. We're getting right into it. But yeah, it's a lot at first, but I'm in not even my second week yet. And it's like, wow, it's already making sense. I'm already on phone calls, making connections with people. So that's one thing I loved about DJ and Lindsey is y'all jump right to it. We get straight to business, and it's not, we're going to wait 6 months to buy a house or, sell a house or whatever. It's we're getting to it now.
Yeah, right. So. Exactly. I mean, that's a lot of the times because of the way our lead gen works is a lot of times the people who you're talking to are people who are ready to buy or sell at this moment in time. Obviously, our database is massively extensive. I mean, over 180,000 people, who have gone through or raised their hand in our vicinity, which is just insane. I mean, Jacksonville, one of the largest city, if not the largest city in the country. And 2,000 people a day are moving to Florida. So the opportunity is there. It's a matter of like how big is our net and how well can we service those people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially being in Jacksonville, you have everything. You have downtown, you're close to Orlando, you have the beach, you also have the countryside, the malls, the food, all that. So.
Exactly. And St. Augustine being, the oldest city in the country, just down the road.
Everything's 30 minutes, so it's like St. Augustine's 30 minutes.
Right, exactly. And I always hear that. People are like, oh, everything's 30 minutes away. And I'm like, yeah, but isn't that better than like, oh, we're not going there. It's an hour and a half away.
We don't even have
like,
it.
Oh, yeah. We only go, if it's only 5 minutes away, that's where we're going. Right? It's like,
and half
you're
of
30
it's
minutes.
because lights, too.
Well, that's true. You're right. I mean, we do have a lot of robust roadways that all feature traffic lights. So being from New Jersey, we have jug handles. This is so off topic, but we have jug handles in our traffic patterns, which is basically making a right turn in order to go left.
Oh, wow.
So when I first moved here, the opportunity to go left immediately was incredible. But that also yields to those wide roadways and those long traffic lights. So into training, what was one thing that you would say stuck out or that you immediately were like, wow, this is massively valuable? If you could pick one thing.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm always worried about most is what's the process, right? What's my first step? Where am I headed? What's my end goal?
Right.
And once you have the end goal in mind, it's like, well, how am I going to get there? That's already laid out here.
Right.
You already know if this is your end goal, we've got it laid out to get there. You just have to go through the process, go through the training, get comfortable with it, and just get better at it.
Right.
So it's already laid out. It's unique how well done it is.
Right.
Because I have talked to many brokerages before I got licensed, after I got licensed, a lot of that stuff, and hearing the system here, I thought I was prepared for how well it was. And then we started going through training, and I thought, wow, like it's
There's
everything
so much,
that I thought it was going to be with my conversation with Brett. So just blew me away, really.
Right. In a good way.
In the best way, yeah.
Right.
Same thing, honestly, just the steps. Like, what I actually talked to Brittany the other day, and I was like, I'm making my calls, but what's the next step? She's like, okay, so now you make the connections, you make those appointments, and there's always a next step. Even if you feel like you're at your best, you've sold, your goal for the year. No, you're going more than that.
Right.
There's always a next step at this place.
Right. I mean, and going back to what you said, your next step on, okay, we close this transaction. What's the next step? Following up with those people, finding out how they love that home, finding out, oh, you guys are pregnant with a baby. Congratulations. Like, that's so great. Like, if we're looking to add an extra bedroom, let's talk about it. Right. Like, so that's what always the next step is. And the fact that you guys can see that and are told that, I think that's great to hear from both of you that that that's kind of a tool for success. A lot of people want to come in. So we actually, by the time this podcast hits, we'll have already announced our new Jacksonville director of sales, who's awesome, Holly.
She's amazing.
Awesome, yeah. I texted DJ and Lindsey, I go, so Holly's dope. And Lindsey just goes, yes. And DJ goes, tell me more.
Aww.
So they're like, the two of them are like massively supportive, especially for, people like that who want to come over and either better other people's lives, which is why everybody gets into real estate in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
But by the time this comes out, we'll have mentioned that. But you guys will be able to kind of be right alongside her as like all these newbies of like, hey, we're all working together for the same goal, and none of us have been here before, so this is all brand new to all of us. You kind of excited, nervous, especially people who want to see that roadway. Excited, nervous, where are we at?
I think there's a fine line. I heard a quote the other day that I really loved, and it was that there's a fine line between anxiety and excitement. Sometimes it's hard to know which is which.
Right.
And I think most of it for me has just been excitement, because the opportunity's there, the process is there, the people are here.
Right.
Am I nervous? Am I in danger? No. well, I'm just excited. And at that point, it's like, great, let's see what we can do.
Right.
So.
See, I'm nervous on the other hand, just because he also has been in the industry for a year or two now. So me coming into this, cold turkey, I have no idea what's going on, but at the same time, it's like I have people behind my back. I have leadership here that does trust in me, and any questions. They even said the first day, don't ever feel like any question is dumb. They want the questions. If you're not bugging them, they're gonna think something's wrong.
Yeah, for sure. That's funny you said no question, because when I hired, my first ever hire was our photographer Joe, who you see outside here.
Yeah.
She would call me probably 10 times a day with questions. Sometimes she would call me with a question, and before I even get the answer out, she'll have already solved it and knew what the answer was.
Yeah.
She's like, I just need to call you.
Just the comfort. I'm the same way.
Right? You need that sometimes. And sometimes you need to be able to explain a problem, because that's half the time. I mean, you're talking about steps. Is like sometimes if you need to explain something out, and then once you've said it in a way to be able to have somebody else understand it, you understand it differently, or kind of see the problem now, and you're like, great, this is the best way to go about it.
And having 3 leaders here too, and they all have their own way of explaining it, so you get even double, triple the information of what you asked.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Let's talk about goals. So obviously when you guys come in, everybody does an intro to the squad video. What's our closed goal home sold for the year?
It's an interesting one to think about, because I did volume last year, but my transactions were really low. So I think I closed and pended 14 total my first year. Volume was about 11 million total, but here it's like, well, we have the capability to do so much more. So benchmarking, that's been difficult. So I just said, okay, we have our minimum standard. My goal, I think, would be 4 to 5 a month just to start the first 3, because it's possible.
Right.
It is kind of scary to think about that. Going from maybe like 1 to 2 is like, man, that's really great. We can do 4 to 5 here. We have the opportunity, and I've seen that now this first week, and it's like, wow. And that's where that anxiety and excitement comes in. It's like, is it a lot to manage, or is it, hey, I have so much opportunity.
Right.
This is going to be awesome.
Right.
So we have the opportunity to do that. So my goal is going to be 4, but I'd love to be 5 plus if we can do that a month, and I know it's possible. It's just putting the work in. So
4 a month,
I like that. Same, but I would like to say 25 a year, and then every single year I want to keep going up and keep making it more and more every year. So.
Right.
And it's possible here. It's for sure possible.
Yeah. What's our first micro goal? So right now, obviously, we just started hitting the phones. We just started talking to people. I heard you on the phone plenty of times. I heard you yesterday. Matt and I were doing a little side project, and we heard you on the phone, and it was hysterical that the conversation you had, I thought you were talking to a family member. I would have put money on it. You were talking to a family member. Yeah. How warm and far the conversation got. And you were just like, nope, she was in Tennessee. And you're just like, right? Like, do you find it natural to be on the phone? And then do you find that that's going to help you along the way, chipping away at these goals?
Oh, yeah. I love meeting new people, love conversating, just kind of getting to know, because everyone's different. We actually had a group meeting the other day talking about personalities, and there was 4 different types of personalities, and you kind of have to match that on the phone. So especially when I get someone that matches me, I will talk to them for hours and hours, which, you don't have enough time in the day to. Yeah. But, that definitely, like, a micro goal is, like, y'all heard me the other night talking about her dogs. They have Brittany's, I want a GSP, just those kind of connections so that they remember me, like, oh, that's the realtor that, sent me a video message that asked about my dog. No realtor would ever ask about my dog. So just kind of getting to know everybody that I talk to and just create connections that are lifelong.
Right, every single day, yeah. You think you're in that same boat?
Well, I got the first micro goal done, was just get an appointment. Let's get somebody out looking at a house. Got 2 of them the first week, and then we have our other system for other opportunities. Pass it off to one of our other agents because we have the system for that. So we can make sure we're getting the service. If a client wants to see this house, if I can't make it, we got how many other agents that can just pick up and be like, I got it. Like, I can be there.
And they answer immediately, 20 messages at once. Like, I'll take it, I'll take it.
Right. So isn't that the craziest thing you've ever seen? Right. You drop it in there. Hey, appointment set, Spanish speaking lead, or whatever it is. Right. Like, just be able to service the customer better. And it's so easy to just find somebody who, and I think this is a personal opinion, but I'd love to hear from your side. What kind of comfort is there in knowing that when you've spoken to this person, you just had a great conversation, and then they ask if they can go see a house when you are fully not available, passing that person off to somebody who is just as trained and educated as you, what kind of just like, is that.
It's a huge relief, especially when I know that, whoever I am passing this client on to, me and them have a connection as well. And I trust that. Obviously, any agent here, I trust that they're going to do the work. That's, they're here for a reason. But especially when you connect with them, like, hey, she's definitely going to take care of you. You just kind of have that comfort of, like, knowing, if I can't make it or if I'm out of town, someone's got me. So.
I love that. So obviously you're super fresh to real estate. You have a little bit of a background. How excited are you? Did you use a TC before?
I did, yeah.
Oh man,
but the process is
ruined it.
The process here is much different on how we handle that, because I think most people think of the TC as an assistant through the process, and ours is very much more developed.
Yeah,
which was really surprising to me too, and I almost had to say, wait, so I still have my hand in this, but this is going to be this efficient?
Yeah.
Wow, that means that I can go help more people. Because before it was like, I'm still completely in every single aspect, whereas here we still are.
Right.
But now we have specialization built out for that.
Right.
And I believe they're all licensed too, right?
All licensed. Which our transaction coordinators are licensed, which means they can negotiate repairs, negotiate anything
they have
on your
all
behalf.
The knowledge, yeah.
Right?
It's huge.
And you got to think too, how crazy is it that, okay, let's just say for a ridiculous number, you sell 35 homes this year and you sell 35 homes this year, okay? Your transaction coordinator will have also sold 35 homes. But now multiply that times all the other agents they have.
They work with.
That's how many deals just that one transaction coordinator does in a year.
That's insane.
Do you think that person's probably the best person to probably handle that?
Oh, yes.
Exactly. They've got the experience and they've got the volume. They probably very few things that they haven't seen. So
it's crazy. I mean, we say it, and Dana, one of our other TCs will tell you, she's like, well, I think I've done more deals than Travis. But we say Travis, who, kind of built that team, Travis has almost seen, like, we did 3,000 deals last year. I think Travis has got to have seen 5,000 deals in his career.
That's insane.
It's just insane, right?
And having someone like that every day that you can ask questions to, it's amazing.
Right? It's so, I had Marcus. I don't know if you guys have met Marcus yet. Yeah,
Yes.
he's awesome, right?
Yes.
It's the best. So he says, I probably have about 7 questions a day for Travis. Every single day. He's like, my afternoon, he's like, and if I do, I write them down because I know I'm going to ask the rest of the leaders, but he's like, I'm going to ask these ones to Travis because I know Travis is going to give me the meat and potatoes of what I need.
Oh, yeah.
It's not necessarily a person connection, right? Like you'd ask Brett with you were talking about before is disc training. They're talking about 4 different disc trainings, 4 different personalities. That's going to be a Brittany, Brett, now Holly situation. Whereas Travis, you're going to be like, hey, so here's what's right. Closing date, need post lease occupancy. Like, what do we like? Travis could be like, so this is how I'd write this down, right? And just absolutely crush it. Like, what? It's insane. The resource. Like, at what point are you just like zonked out on like I have too many resources. What do I do? Like, what is the next step? Right? Do you feel ever like that? Not anxiety, but just like a overwhelming sense of like, do I feel like I'm going to be able to hold my end of the bargain up at all, or no? It's more like
as far as like servicing the client,
right? Like, here's your runway, you take it.
I don't know if I've felt that way, but the biggest thing is, we talk about people that are out there being a solo agent, doing everything. They're doing their marketing, they're doing their lead gen, they're doing their transaction coordination, the closing, everything. I don't know how you could give the best service possible doing that in this market with the way that we're going. So having those people, not only just the resources for human capital and just sheer knowledge and experience, then we have the TCs. I could talk to you about marketing if I wanted to try some social media stuff. Like, I have everything here to be successful.
Right. Too, everything.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If you were going to go, so we had a great case study. I always like to kind of tell these young pups is we had somebody who was working a job, wanted to come into real estate. Obviously, you guys know no matter what team you join, you have to pay MLS dues, et cetera, right? So he was working his way towards that. It was like, okay, if I commit to that, I really won't be able to, do X, Y, and Z. But still licensed, still everything. So he was just kind of like doing his own thing, hanging out on our brokerage side model, which is just something we try to do to accommodate other people until they're ready to kind of like be Navy SEALs, essentially. Listed his family's house for $1.5 million. And paid zero money to get it done until it had fully sold for over ask to one of our buyers anyway, because we're just trying to obviously sell houses anyway. Sold to one of us and was able to just roll on that check and had to literally call. Can you imagine if you had to find a photographer all while you're like working another job and like that's just money out of your pocket and hoping that whatever you're doing is right.
And then if that deal falls through, you're like, I just wasted all this money, and I can't get it back.
Right. I mean, and it's your parents. They're going to be the harshest people on you.
Yes.
They're going to be the greatest, most gracious people, but they're going to be you're going to be a harsh critic, right?
Absolutely.
It's crazy. So I always like to kind of like bring that up because a lot of people don't realize that they're like, they just see the way we're set up, our model, our splits, all this and that, not realizing none of that's done until you are also getting paid, which I think a lot of people are like, they think it's like a too good to be true situation.
Yes.
Like it's literally not right.
Yep.
And Lindsey, we just posted a video about it. Lindsey said our model is different, not only because we have this infrastructure, we have all these different systems, this roadmap, etc.
Yeah.
But instead of you paying a brokerage to be there, we're almost paying you to be here at the end of the deal. And I think a lot of people get thrown off by that because everybody's a entrepreneur and wants to be this, hey, I'm a luxury agent only, right? I do four homes, but the volume's crazy.
Yeah.
That's great. What's the reality in that?
Yep.
Like, will you be able to do that? Do you know any of those people? Are you plugged into that community?
Yeah.
What are your past sales? What happens if you start talking to somebody that has a $30 million home and they ask you, hey, do you have any reviews, past sales? And you're like, this is my third week.
Yeah.
Right? But now if you're like, I actually just recently joined this team. Like we did 3,000 homes last year for over $1 billion. My broker here has done over 1,000 transactions herself in her career, in 18 years, whatever it is, right? Like that's probably going to get you a little further into that conversation than this is my third week. I'm hoping that you'll be my first house. Like, that's okay.
I'll talk to someone else.
Absolutely.
Literally anybody else. Do you kind of have that a little bit of reassurance knowing that you kind of have those stats behind you on your back and moving forward?
That's actually helped me in a conversation I had with a client a few days ago. We have our script that, hey, we did sell 3,000 houses or, last year and all of the things that the list could go on.
Right.
And they're like, oh, wow, like, where are you from again? Like, oh, we're from Jacksonville, but we also have an office in St. Augustine. We have one down in Jupiter. Like, and then we kept the conversation going. So it really does make a huge difference.
Right, exactly. And seeing like reviews with your name on them and then saying, oh, wow, this company has 1,900 5-star reviews. And here I searched Bailey Cooley and it pops up right here like she's the real deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Like how about you? Same thing?
Yeah, when you get on the phone with people, hey, this is Alex with DJ and Lindsey. Oh, I know that company.
Yeah, everyone knows
little things
DJ
like
and
that,
Lindsey.
or the fact that we have people calling us because they've seen us.
Right.
It's just everything's well done. The name recognition is there for a reason.
Right.
The quality of service is there. And then being able to be a part of that when you speak to people, especially if you're a brand new agent, it gives you some confidence.
Right.
Because when I started real estate, I had confidence, but it was kind of like I felt like I had to fake it till I made it.
For
and I was just purely honest with people. I said, hey, I have some help, but like I am brand new.
Yeah.
But now it's like, hey, I have some under my belt. But even if I didn't have any experience, if I was coming into a brokerage like this, I could say, hey, 3,000 transactions. These are all the people that can help us out with this.
Right.
It's just there. It's
There's always
not credibility, but credibility.
Right.
To say, hey, we have
No, you're totally right.
portfolio. This is what we've done in the past. It works.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you're both totally right. I mean, that's what we always try and kind of tell people, but it's different when we're telling the story versus like people like yourselves who literally are here. I mean, what day is this for you guys? Day 8, 9?
5,
Last
7.
Monday?
Day 7.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not weekends. We'll do actual Monday through Friday.
We're not counting it.
Right.
Yeah.
Day 7. But y'all were here this weekend, were you not? Did you guys come in? Yeah. I heard you guys were in here doing extra hours just because you wanted to get through that training, get as much done. Obviously, the weekends here are buzzing too. If you got, you want to listen to people on shift on weekends is
being a realtor,
bananas.
you have to work on the weekends.
But it's.
I mean, you don't have to, but the more clients, more connections you make.
It's just a better opportunity.
Doors open or
yes,
doors closed,
exactly.
So.
Yep.
That's the point. I think, it's either that, it's right. It's like if you're not available for your customer, somebody else is going to be.
Exactly.
So it's really up to you. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, if this is what you want to do, this is a spot to do it. If you want to just sit back, feet up, do nothing, probably not going to be the best environment, and probably real estate starting not going to be the best environment. I mean, all the power to you. I wish that would be awesome if you could do that. There's a lot of people looking to try and do that.
It's not like Selling Sunset on Netflix where they go and show these $1 million houses and
Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, thank you both for being here so much. We're so excited to have you guys. Like I said, DJ was just in here yesterday. We got Holly signed on. We're super stoked. You guys are awesome, and we're super excited that you guys are just as passionate about this team, this process, and everything as
having
we are.
a team behind us. It creates a difference. That's for sure.
Off and rolling.
Yeah. Rock and roll. Matt, which camera am I? Boom. This podcast is sponsored by Audible. Audible's a great way to listen to books instead of reading them because you're like these young guys driving around to showings, closing deals, opening doors. You can try our referral code at whatever the link is because I never get it right, but I thought it was tryaudible.com/DJ and Lindsey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and find us everywhere, DJandLindsey.com. Alex, Bailey, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Awesome.